Hey everyone, welcome to the VO Boss Podcast and the Real Bosses series. I'm your host, Ann Ganguzza, and I am thrilled to have Mr. Tom Dheere here with me to chat for the next few minutes. Tom, so good to see you as always.
Great to have me back. Thank you so much, Ann.
Yeah, look at it, how dapper you look. I mean,
I know. I wore a jacket today, and so did you. Look at you, looking all power suity.
Well, you know, it is the month of taxes. It is March.
Yes.
And I thought, well, you know, even though I hate doing taxes, you know, we got to play the part. But Tom, you are so much more prepared to talk about taxes than I am. I just know I have to do them, and I have an accountant. But yeah, Tom, what are some great tips you have for filing taxes this year and your words of wisdom? Because I know we can benefit greatly from them.
Aw, shucks. Well, first off, I'm probably one of the only weirdos in voiceover that actually enjoys taxes.
I would agree with that, probably.
Well, here's the thing, and I was just talking with a student about this because she this student messaged me because she was having problems making the formulas work on our Excel spreadsheet. Because I have in the free download section at vostrategist.com, there's a cash flow spreadsheet template. And it's what I use every day of every year for 20 plus years running, where I enter every single penny that goes into and goes out of my voiceover business. And a great thing about it is that I use it as a tool when it comes time to prepare to file my taxes. I have all the information right there.
So you don't use any particular software then? You're using your spreadsheet? I
use Wave, but I only use it for invoicing. And the only reason I use that for invoicing is because TomDheere.com and VOStrategist.com are Wix-based websites, not unlike yours.
Exactly.
And the problem with Wix when it comes to invoicing, it is in the settings, it only allows you to use one currency. And I have multiple clients in other countries. So I have to have it set to the US dollar, but when I have to bill I do Canadian very rarely, British pounds once in a while, but I book in euros a lot.
Yeah, me too.
So I can't use Wix's invoicing system. So I have to use Wave apps. I just use the free version for invoicing, but I know it has all the bells and whistles and features. But here's the thing. I like seeing all of my finances in one spreadsheet, in one snapshot. So I have a lot more. I mean, it's sort of a control thing, but like when I look at this cash flow spreadsheet, and I encourage everyone to download it, it's a free download, I can see all the money I made, all the money I spent. I actually have columns where I added whether I got the booking as a result of an audition or a direct booking where I didn't have to audition.
That's a multifunctional spreadsheet.
Oh, it's amazing. It has the invoice number, it has the form of payment and the payment portal.
Oh, nice.
You know, so like a form of payment is a check, but a payment portal is PayPal. That sort of thing.
Do you have a new one every year?
No, but I do add new features to it every year. And this is real, and we'll get to why that's so important when it comes to the filing of the taxes. But I also log the genre of voiceover that I did. And I also log whether the gig came from one of my reps, whether it came from a casting site, whether it came from marketing. And then I have another. So
it's absolutely multifunctional. So it's not just for taxes then.
No, it's for marketing too. That's why I've been working with this spreadsheet for 20 years. I built it from scratch, and every year I update the formulas or I add new features. So like the audition booking, direct booking column I added last year, and I had the form of payment, but then when the whole tax thing changed last year, which is what I want to talk about today, I needed to set up the form of payment along with the payment portal. Because, like, for example, I'm on Voice 123. So if a client pays me on Voice 123 through their payment portal, that's Stripe. But 90% of Voice 123 voice seekers take the project off-site, which means they're going to pay me off-site. So that means I'm getting paid through PayPal. I'm getting paid through credit card. I'm getting paid through wire transfer. You know what I mean? So those are all different forms of payment and payment portals.
It's important to know where the money comes from, because I'll tell you what, my own. Now, I do everything through QuickBooks Online, but, you know, I pay for that dearly. It's not cheap. But it's really nice to know where the source of money comes from, because I'll tell you, when I have students and they buy coaching packages or demos from me, sometimes it's really hard in Wix to find out how they paid me, or sometimes if I did part of it in QuickBooks and part of it in Wix, it just becomes really discombobulated. So I like the fact that you have one place where you've got the payment, and right there it tells you you're paid in
great.
PayPal or Venmo or Stripe.
And it totals it all. Yeah. Also, now that I have it as a Google Doc, I can use AI, Google's Gemini, within Google Docs to analyze things and help me run reports or run comparisons and stuff.
I like that.
You know what I mean? Because like I see, you make more money in one genre one year, you make less in a genre another year. So I've been using it.
Ask the question and say, how did I do in e-learning last year?
Well, that's the other thing. I also, when I log the genre on the right side of the spreadsheet, it totals everything by genre.
Oh, nice.
It gives me percentages of audition bookings versus direct bookings, and it breaks it down by currency. And it breaks it down. So I'll know that 12% of my bookings came from representation, or 23% came through direct marketing strategies or stuff like that.
So guys, bosses, I mean, really, you can't argue with the price. I mean, it's free, and look at how functional that is. I mean, honestly, like, I pay money for that, and I don't have half of what Tom has. He has all, like, how did you book? How did they pay? What percentage genres did you? So mine doesn't account for that.
I got sick of all the because I was using Mint for years, and I used whatever the one was before QuickBooks. I was using Microsoft Money for years and all that stuff. But what I couldn't stand is that, like, it was really bad. All of those things are really bad at tracking money. Like, so if you get paid, it logs it. And then when you transfer the money from PayPal to your checking account, it logs it. And now you've got a double transaction. And I'm just like, I can't be bothered with all of that.
Where did that go? Okay, it went from PayPal to here. And then from here, it automatically deposited to this account. And I have multiple checking accounts too. So you're right. It is complex. However, the difference between you and me, and I love it, is because you are always prepared to do your taxes. You can look at things, see it right away, make comparisons, and analyze not only like money in, money out, but analyze how your business is doing. For me, for the money part and for the taxes part, I have an accountant. So there's two ways to do it, guys. I mean, I have an accountant on retainer for everything.
Right.
So
now, I have an accountant too. My wife and I, who is also a freelancer, we file jointly. So we always schedule a meeting where we both bring all of our 1099s and our W-2s. And then what I do is, with this cash flow spreadsheet, I take all that information and I use it to populate a tax preparation spreadsheet where I have where I basically are calculating, totaling up all the expenses in one tab and then all the income on another one. Now with the income one, and this is one thing I really wanted to talk about today, Anne, is that based on who paid you and how they paid you and where they came from when they paid you will depend on not if you're declaring, because you're declaring every penny of income that you get, bosses, is like how you are declaring that. So this is the thing I really wanted to talk about, Anne, is that the rules have changed when it comes to 1099 forms. Now, for you bosses who are still in the 9-to-5 sitch, and you're early in your voiceover journey, when you got your job, you filled out a W-4 form, you get paid, they take taxes out, and at the end of the year, you get one W-2 form, right? W-4, get paid with withholding, get a W-2. For us voice actors, it's not the same.
No,
it's much more complicated.
Yep.
So what most of us what happens for most of us, now this is also, if you're non-union, for example, most of your gigs are going to get, you're going to get a W-9 form. You have to give them a W-9 form, sorry.
Yes,
and then at the end of the year, you get a 1099 form. And then you hand all those 1099 forms to your CPA, because if you give them a W-9 form, they are not going to take taxes out, which means you're responsible at the end of the year, or through quarterly estimated tax payments, which I strongly encourage you to do. You are responsible for figuring out what your tax burden is for every penny of money that comes into your little piggy bank. You know what I mean? So there's different types of 1099 forms. And the laws have changed. This from one year to year, the laws have changed about all these 1099 forms.
So, all right. So we got right into the meat of it, like right away. I want to just back it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Tom gets so excited. I love it.
I get so geeked up.
So just for those, all right, for those people that might be part-timing it and, do they need to file taxes if they've not made any money, right? Let's answer some basic questions. Is it important for them to file taxes, and what do they need to be aware of, before they do so?
Okay, so if you're starting your voiceover journey and this is the first year that you have paid for training with Anne or with somebody else, you've paid for a website, you've paid for gear, maybe you signed up for a Voice123 or Voices.com, maybe you subscribed to Backstage Magazine, maybe you paid money to join Nava, or maybe you spent money to go to a conference. I encourage you to file your taxes and get those deductions. You should be talking with your living, breathing CPA. I do not recommend
even if you've not made money. Even if you've not made, okay.
Right, because it's all education and training and advertising expenses. But here's the danger. If you write off too much stuff, too many years in a row, and do not demonstrate a profit, the IRS will declare your voiceover career as a hobby. Yep. And then you're going to have problems. You're not going to get audited or anything like that unless you really did something wrong.
I got audited. Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to talk about that or not. But.
It wasn't for any wrongdoing. To be quite honest, it was just you got to be careful when you're a freelancer, and because they really look hard. So you have to be aware and account for everything. And I mean, I ended up getting through it fine and not owing anything. So.
Oh, that's good. That's good. But so yes, I encourage you to keep track of all of your expenses, even if you haven't made any money, and then talk to your CPA. Don't use TurboTax and stuff like that. Because if you just get one W-4, if you fill out one W-4, if it's all withholding and you get a W-2 and you take the standard deduction, yes, use TurboTax. But if you're going into this, because you need to how to train yourself on taxes and need to make sure that your CPA understands how to work with somebody who is self-employed, because not all of them do. It's a very specific thing.
So if there are part-time voice actors and maybe they do their own taxes, so you're saying don't necessarily, because you have to account for both, right? You have to account for your personal taxes and of course your quote-unquote business taxes. So, what about those people that are using accountants? And so how do they prepare for their personal taxes? Is it similar to how they prepare for their business taxes?
Yeah, that's where we can go down the slippery slope rabbit hole that is incorporating.
Got it.
And I will just say, for the purposes of this conversation, if you're early in your voiceover journey, don't even think about it.
Yeah.
Because there's S Corps and C Corps and limited liability companies for almost everybody who's starting out. You don't need to do that because you don't make enough money that could require legal protection or that would get you tax benefits. So when you file as a sole proprietor. You just work for you work for yourself. You file all your taxes personally. If you have a corporation, S Corp, C Corp, or an LLC, that's when you have to separate the personal from the professional. But for now, it can all get clumped into one thing.
Yeah, that makes so much sense because when I first started, I wasn't incorporated, I didn't have a business, and I didn't make a whole lot of money in the beginning. So I lumped it with my yearly taxes when that happened. So and then it took a while until I got my own separate account because then I was starting to make money. So then it kind of evolved into having more accountability for it. And then when I got my S Corp, and I was always giving these numbers to my accountant to figure out, but I had a general education of what I needed to do. So if you're working full time and you're doing voiceover part time, you still need to keep track of it, but you don't necessarily have to file separately.
Right. And think of it as just training. You're training for the day when you are a full-time voice actor, if that is your ultimate ambition. Yeah. The other thing I will say is that you can open as many checking accounts in your bank as you want. So what I think is a really good idea is to set up a second account. It doesn't have to be an official business account. You can log on to your bank website right now, click create new account, call it my voiceover account, and then make sure all the money that goes into and out of that is purely voiceover.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Because that's what's creating what's called an audit trail, which means if you do get audited, and also you can print out your bank statements and just give them to your CPA and say, this is all the money that went into and out of my voiceover business because it all went through one account.
Yeah. You might just have to help them with categories.
Exactly, helping with categories, and that's why using a free accounting software like Wave Apps, for example, is a fantastic way to do it. Or you can get a free or a paid version of QuickBooks. But I wouldn't worry about if you're just starting out, you don't have a steady stream of income. Don't worry about the major accounting softwares. Like my spreadsheet is probably good enough to do what you need to do.
Awesome.
To do what you need to do.
At what point, how much money do you have to make, right, as a part-time voiceover to consider, filing taxes either separately or, moving on to the next step?
Right. So if you are a regular 9-to-5er who gets that W-4, who gets a W-4 and then gets issued a W-2, you're filing Schedule A. If you are a self-proprietor who's working as a voice actor and you are non-union, you're filing as a Schedule C. Because if you're a member of SAG-AFTRA, ideally all of your voiceover gigs, there's non-jurisdictional work, but we don't want to go down the SAG-AFTRA rabbit hole today. But if you're getting paid through a union job, they are garnishing isn't the right word, but they're taking out the taxes and they're taking out your health and pension for SAG-AFTRA, and then you get a check for the difference. Right. Which you should also keep your pay stubs and keep an eye on that so you can see what's going on.
Put them in the shoebox.
Throw them in the shoebox. Throw them in the shoebox. Well, actually, I have a binder right here where I separate the receipts as I go. I stick them on the pocket on the inside cover, so I have all those paper receipts, and then I make sure everything's logged on my cash flow spreadsheet.
That's so funny because I'll just say that as it has evolved over the years, I do less and less shoebox receipts because everything is digital.
Yes,
and it's great because you don't necessarily need the receipts. So I'm thankful for that. It
there
keeps
are
it
less
organized
receipts now.
better.
Absolutely. So when is the time to start to actually file?
Yeah.
The professional CPA that you work with who is trained and knowledgeable in all this will tell you. So let them know what's going on with your finances, and they'll let you know what the best path forward is when it comes to. I mean, you need to declare every penny of income that you earn, regardless. It's the question of the CPA telling you how you should do it.
Right.
Because you can schedule a Schedule A and a Schedule C at the same time.
Right.
I do. Because there's a couple clients I have a year who have to hire me to get me into their payroll so they can actually pay me because they don't have a mechanism like paying me on PayPal or just throwing it on a credit card, which a lot of my clients do. You have to get into their system. So I will get a few W-2s, but then and a stack of 1099s at the end of the year, which then I have to organize and prepare for my day with the CPA.
Back in the day, and I don't know if this is still true, but back in the day when you were cautioning about, showing a loss, otherwise, every year for your business, theoretically, when you're putting everything into one, you can only do that for about, I'm going to say, a few years without them getting suspicious.
Yes.
And so I believe that amount was $5,000. So if you made less than $5,000, you didn't really have to, worry about filing or at least categorize them separately as like your personal business.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to really account for it. But once you start accounting for it and call yourself a business, then
Right.
And that's what happened to me the first few years. I wasn't making, and I was spending more than I was making. So
also keep in mind, state tax laws change every year.
Yeah.
Federal tax laws change every year. Ann's in California. I'm in New York City. We have different tax laws that we have to deal with. And this is another reason, because as you can see, we haven't been talking for long, but we're already in the weeds talking about this stuff. This can get really complicated really, really quickly, which is why it's totally worth paying a CPA. And also, what you pay the CPA is a tax deduction.
Yep.
It's a business expense because it's like a subcontractor type of thing. You're hiring help to help you run your business, so you can write that off too.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So what has changed in the year of 2026? Now that I backed us up, so if we are a full-time business, what do we need to know? Well, even part-time, what do we need to know that's changed in 2026?
There's too much. We don't have time to get into all of it, so I want to talk about the big thing, which is the 1099s. Now, there are a whole bunch of different types of 1099 forms based on how you get paid, and also, dividend income, interest income, retirement income, royalty income. There's 1099s for all that. But for what I want to talk about are the three big 1099 forms that voice actors get. So the first one is the 1099 NEC, or NEC, non-employment compensation form. Now, what used to be for many, many years is that if you work for a company as a voice actor and they pay you $600 or more, they will automatically send you a 1099 NEC. If you don't make $600 or more, they don't send you a 1099, but you are still responsible for declaring that income.
Absolutely.
As of January 1st, 2026, the reporting threshold has jumped from $600 to $2,000.
Ooh.
So that means if you did like a $1,500 job for a client this year, they are not required to send you a form, but you still have to report that income. So you may find, if you've been doing this for a little while and you have a bunch of different clients, that you're like getting far less 1099s than you thought you would. This is why. It is not free money. You still have to declare it.
You still have to account for it. Absolutely.
You still have to pay taxes on it. All right. Now, one of the other ones is the 1099K. This is for payment cards and third-party network transactions. So we're talking if a voice seeker pays you by a credit card, by PayPal, by Venmo, or other things like that. So a law was passed this past July, which changed the threshold on all of those, is that it has to total $20,000 and 200 transactions. Okay? So that means unless you're getting at least $20,000 and 200 transactions worth of voiceover work by people that paid you by credit card, PayPal, Venmo, and a couple of other ones, you're not going to get this form either, which means all of those clients that paid you that way, you need to declare each of those clients' income separately, okay? And then the third one is the 1099 MISC, or miscellaneous. Now, this one used to be the catch-all for all payments of $600 and more, like rent and medical payments, like if you collect rent if you're a tenant, that sort of thing. The law has also changed on this. The threshold for this has also been raised to $2,000 to match the NEC form. The exception for this is royalties. So like if you're an audiobook narrator and you're on ACX, for example, and you get, and you're part of the royalty share plan, if you earn at least $10 in royalties, you're going to get this form. All right. And the rest of the 1099 forms are remaining basically the same. So this is really important stuff, because a lot of you bosses are waiting for all these forms to come in, and you're waiting for them. And now they're required by law to have them all to you by February 1st or January 31st. That never happens.
It never happens.
Never happens. I think I've gotten
Sometimes
3
I'm waiting. Yeah. Sometimes I'm waiting till March. And I'm like, that's crazy. I mean, February is, I get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, last year I was waiting for some of them like March, and I'm like, what happened? And then again, I might have, did they send it to me? And it was in my email. So be aware that they'll either tell you can download the necessary tax documents in an email. So make sure you're checking your email for those things. I have companies that are like, you can download your tax documents here.
Right. So I get email notifications saying, hey, you can download it here. Or if it's a smaller production company, they'll attach it as a PDF. Yeah. Or I'll get it snail mail. And sometimes they do it.
Oh, God, that's hard. Because I usually, the mail lately has just been a lot of just crazy spam mail. So be careful of that and don't throw it out.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for that. What's really nice is if, I don't know if you do this, Ann, but you can subscribe to the U.S. Post Office that every morning you'll get an email and they scan your email and they show you what's coming.
It's wonderful.
You do that too? Yeah.
Yep. It's actually great. And sometimes they predict the delivery of packages, which never usually works out.
No, that's terrible.
But, sometimes it does. But sometimes they'll say, you're going to get this today. And I'm like, okay, I just ordered a new pair of pants. Or like,
right, it's nice.
I get excited about it and they're like, no, it's not coming today.
Yeah. So like I know, like if a check came in the mail yesterday and I'm like, oh good, I'll go to the bank today, and then I'll get that email saying, no, you're getting another check today. I'm like, all right, well then I won't go to the bank today. So it actually kind of helps my life. Right.
And it's like, you're going to get it today. Oh, no, it's been delayed.
Right.
So,
which probably is going to happen, because of weather or strikes or whatever other nonsense is natural disasters that's going on in the world. It feels like every day. So, but there's a lot more information. So like the 1099 thing is one of the biggest things. There's always changes in, how much mileage you can write off. There's always an increase on your retirement contributions and all that stuff. But, if I may, Anne, I have a video that I make every year. It's called Make Taxes Less Taxing. And I go through all of this information and a heck of a lot more. I talk you through the whole process of to incorporate or not to incorporate. I talk about a day at the CPA and all the things you need to do to prepare. I talk about how to organize your 1099s. I break down the other 1099 forms. I also go through all the expenses and how to categorize them and what you can write off and what you can't write off as a voice actor. Yeah. So you can buy the video, but I think it's $50. However, you can either buy the video and it's a streaming video. So you buy it and you keep it and you can stream it and watch it as many times as you want. And next year when I update it again, you can just watch it again with the updated content. But a really good bang for your buck is if you get a subscription where you can stream all the videos. I have over 30 videos on this that talks about taxes and business and marketing on all that stuff. And I even set up a promo code for you VO bosses.
Look at that. So
if you go to vostrategist.com and click on videos and you activate a subscription and you enter the promo code BOSSVOSVID26, boss is in VO boss, VOS is in VO Strategist, VID for video, 26 for your 2026. You get 20% off a 6-month subscription to the VO How-To Library. So you can watch Make Taxes Less Taxing and all the other videos as many times as you want in that 6-month period.
That sounds amazing, Tom, especially because I know that a lot of you, could be listening anytime. I may not even put the word taxes in the title because I'm going to maybe fool you guys. I feel like whenever we talk taxes, people's eyes glaze over. But it's important stuff for you guys to know. I mean, and it's really important that you account for everything in your business.
Yeah.
And it's something that it's just better if you educate yourself as well. Like I basically outsource all of my monthly and my taxes to my accountant, but I also sit down with her and she tells me, here's what's different. Here's what you can do, this year. And so I make sure that I'm educated. So educate yourselves. Guys, I would download that spreadsheet in a heartbeat because Tom has spent so much time on it and it's so very functional. And I'm telling you what, a video that I could go back and rewatch every single time if I have a question, because I know this was a lot today for you guys. If I had a question, I would want to be able to go back and watch that video again. And especially because he goes into more detail. So there's a lot of value, guys, for what Tom is offering, and I highly recommend it. So
thank you. I got one more thing to say on this real quick. Is that to help you with your mindset about this, is that the taxes, think about it, it's the story of you. What's the story of your voiceover journey in the previous year? Also, when you use this free spreadsheet and you see your marketing, like what genres of voiceover did you book and how did you book them? It tells you, did my training pay off? Did my marketing strategies pay off? Did paying for that Voice 123 subscription pay off? Did attending that conference pay off? Or attending that networking event pay off? You can see it in black and white. And when it's time to file your taxes, it tells the story of your voiceover year. So you may be averse to the numbers and the grown-up poopy stuff of the spreadsheets and all that stuff and, being terrified of being audited and all that stuff. But think of it as it's just another part of your journey, and it's another tool that you have in your tool belt to make you a better voice actor.
Yeah. And I will tell you guys, I mean, look, I will tell you I've been audited twice. And I say that to you because I wasn't hiding anything. I literally was doing everything by the book with my accountant. And so it's not as scary. I mean, if you're accounting for everything, it's really not that scary. It's just a process you've got to go through. So don't necessarily get nervous, all of a sudden that you're doing voiceover that you're going to get audited. So, just know where your money's going in and out and, make sure that you're aware of what's happening tax-wise, and you can get that through Tom's video. And by the way, it's really cool because if you do the streaming version, he updates it when it's necessary. So you will never be, thinking, oh, he gave me last year's video and there's new things that I need to know now. He will update that and then give that to you. So great, Tom. I absolutely love the words of wisdom and all the nuggets about taxes. And gosh, you are a geek.
I truly am, and I truly own it.
I love it. I love it. Well, that means that when you're a geek, then, Tom, it's absolutely worth it to learn from Tom because he's so impassioned by it.
Yes,
so
geeks get it done is what we like to say.
That's right. Geeks get it done. I love it. Well, thanks again, Tom, for all of this wonderful knowledge. And guys, get those taxes done. And essentially, I'm going to give a great big shout out to IPDTL. You too can network and be a boss and be a tax boss too. Find out more at IPDTL.com. You guys have an amazing week. Get those taxes done, and we will see you next week. Bye.